Hey guys, did you know that there's a secret army of life-size terracotta warriors in China? This army has protected one of the most powerful men in history for over 2,000 years. But who is he, and what secrets are still hidden today? I'm your host, and you're watching this channel. Join me today as we uncover the real story of the Terracotta Army. The year is 200 BC, and the Emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, is nearing his mortal end. He has ruled with an iron fist, conquering rival states, imposing harsh laws, and creating the first centralized government. But soon he will need this power in the afterlife. You see, death was not the end. In fact, it was just another adventure, one where you would need your wits, your power, and even your army to survive. And so it was that the emperor ordered for an army of terracotta warriors to be created, so that he could continue to rule from beyond the grave. Over the next 7 years, more than 8,000 statues were built. Some were given different faces, some wore different armor, and all of them had different ranks, just like any other army. At the time, it was thought that they might not be able to win every battle in the afterlife, so it was better to be prepared. But where did they get all the inspiration from? We don't know. Perhaps they used real soldiers as models, or maybe they took inspiration from the enemies that the emperor had defeated. One thing is certain though, each warrior is unique. There are no two alike, even down to their fingernails. However, they didn't just make soldiers. The emperor knew he couldn't fight without generals. So craftsmen modeled 130 chariots pulled by 520 horses and 150 cavalrymen. These would help the emperor's spirit lead the armies into battle. If he needed someone to watch over everything, there were 6 general statues. Among them, the tallest was 6'2", almost twice the size of an average man. But this wasn't enough. Who knows what kind of riches the afterlife might hold? And so the emperor commissioned 2 grand halls filled with 100 officials, some playing musical instruments, some writing on scrolls, and some ready to fight. One of these buildings even had a working drainage system, a testament to just how advanced these builders were. In total, the army of terracotta was made up of over 200 different formations, with 130 chariots, 520 horses, 150 cavalrymen, and 6 generals. It took 7 years to build, and was big enough to take on an entire army. However, after the emperor died in 200 BC, the project was abandoned and the entrance sealed. It remained lost until 1974, when a group of Chinese farmers were digging a well near Xi'an. Suddenly, one of their shovels hit something hard. He brushed off the dirt and realized he had just uncovered the face of a terracotta warrior. Excited, he alerted the authorities, and soon archaeologists had found an entire pit filled with thousands of the warriors. They were covered in a thick layer of soil, which had helped to preserve them for thousands of years. But now the race was on to stop them from deteriorating further. The Chinese government put together a team of 1,000 experts who worked day and night to clean and catalog the artifacts. But while it seemed like a dream come true, it also came with many problems. As the news spread around the world, many people wanted to see the warriors for themselves. This meant that the site became overcrowded, and the nearby city grew rapidly. Soon enough, the area had become a major tourist destination. But there was another problem. Now that the pits had been exposed to the outside world, they were quickly degrading. To make matters worse, years of digging had caused the walls to become unstable, and so a new plan was formed. A network of underground tunnels would allow visitors to view the pits without causing any damage. It took 3 years to complete, but by 1980 these tunnels were open to the public. They allowed visitors to walk within meters of the warriors without being able to touch them. And yet, for all the work that went into uncovering the army, we have barely scratched the surface. Only pit number 1 has been fully excavated, and even that's only 20% of the entire tomb. Pit 2 contains 2,000 warriors, and is filled with all kinds of treasures. Archaeologists have found bronze weapons, broken chariots, and countless works of art. However, the real prize is pit number 3. Here, deep under the ground, lie hundreds of warriors, 150 horses, and several generals. But this is the best preserved part of the tomb. It's massive, around 40 feet underground and 230 feet long. That's about the length of an American football field. If anyone ever tried to enter this chamber, they would have to go through a maze of tunnels to avoid collapsing the roof. For now, it remains unopened, because no one wants to disturb it. There may be booby traps or poisonous gases waiting inside. On top of that, the archaeologists believe that the emperor's main tomb lies somewhere beneath the pits. They have found traces of mercury all around the site. Some believe that this was used to represent rivers and lakes in the afterlife, while others believe it was a form of protection. Either way, the main tomb still remains missing. Experts believe that it lies beneath one of the 3 pits, although they aren't sure which one. According to the historical records, it should be in Pit 1, since this was the largest and contained the emperor's favorite warriors. However, there's also a chance that it's in Pit 2, since this is where most of the chariots and horses are kept. After all, the emperor loved to travel in style. Maybe one day we'll find out where the tomb really is and finally discover what happened to the emperor. But until then, we can enjoy the wonders of Pit number 3, the most untouched section of the entire complex. Here, hundreds of terracotta warriors stand guard over a secret vault. These clay soldiers are in perfect condition, their armor gleaming and their weapons sharp. Even their eyes seem to pierce through time, staring directly at us. Who knows what treasures lie beneath their watchful gaze? What untold secrets will we uncover when we finally venture into the emperor's tomb? Only time will tell. As you can imagine, excavating these tombs is incredibly difficult. Not only do the workers have to carefully dig through layers of dirt and debris, but they also have to contend with dangerous booby traps, ancient traps. You see, when the tomb was first discovered, archaeologists were surprised to find that the entrance was sealed with a large stone slab. They eventually managed to move the stone slab, but they soon discovered that it was only the first of many obstacles. As they descended deeper into the tomb, they found that the walls were lined with spikes and darts. Just a slight misstep could have resulted in a fatal injury, but perhaps the most ingenious trap was the pit of fire. Archaeologists found a series of tubes filled with flammable liquid. If anyone entered the wrong chamber, a red-hot musket ball would be released, burning them alive. Of course, modern technology has allowed us to overcome many of these obstacles. Using X-ray machines, archaeologists can now identify traps and obstacles without having to physically encounter them. Still, the risk of injury or even death remains very real. And so far, no one has been willing to take the risk. What about you, though? Would you dare explore the Terracotta Army? Let me know in the comments below. And on that note, let's move on to our final fact, which is about the mysterious origins of the Terracotta Warriors. As impressive as the Terracotta Army is, there are still many unanswered questions. For example, who exactly made the army? We know that a team of 1,000 experts worked to restore the army once it was discovered. But before that, the army was lost for centuries. And during that time, who was taking care of it? Some believe that the warriors were made by a secret society known as the August First Moon. This group is said to have been founded by the first Emperor of China. Its members were tasked with protecting the emperor's tomb from grave robbers. However, there is no evidence that the August First Moon ever existed. It's possible that the warriors were simply made by ordinary craftsmen who were hired by the emperor. But if that's the case, why did they put so much effort into their work? Each warrior is unique with a different face, armor, and rank. It's unlikely that they were made by ordinary craftsmen who were just following orders. It's more likely that they were made by a group of artists who were given complete freedom to express themselves. Sadly, we may never know for sure who made the Terracotta Army, but that doesn't stop us from admiring their work. These incredible warriors have survived for over 2,000 years. They've survived the test of time, and they continue to fascinate people all over the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and join me next time as we uncover more historical mysteries.